Hello guys, and welcome to the Penny Podcast. I'm Andrés. I'm in 12th grade, and I'm the Kappa Student Media Web Producer. If this is your first time tuning in, the Penny Podcast is a weekly podcast that incorporates entertainment and interview elements. However, this week's episode is a little different, as I'll be focusing on how life has changed for nearly everyone in our community due to the coronavirus, aka COVID-19 outbreak. We had all seen the news about the coronavirus outbreak in China in the weeks and days leading up to spring break, but little did we know that a previously foreign threat would soon find its way to the U.S. On March 13th, the Capo Independent School District announced that it would close its schools through March 20th, then later through April 3rd. Our daily news/assignment editor, Karen Liu, broke the story. With CISD being a major part of our community's image and life, its closure seemingly solidified the seriousness of the outbreak and situation in general. As the days went on and spring break became quarantine, our speedy staffers covered the many little things that were affected due to the outbreak. First, the Texas STAR test requirements for the 2019-2020 school year were canceled. Then the SAT/ACT were postponed. Our CHS9 editor Shivi Sharma broke those two stories, but our business manager broke our hearts when he published prom latest event to cancel due to COVID-19 pandemic on March 19th. While I wasn't personally looking forward to or going to prom, I know that the cultural significance of the event is immense. It's peak high school. Having that day taken away because of a virus just sucks. After Nishant's piece, there were multiple stories that touched upon the various ripple effects the outbreak had on our community. From our executive sports editor, Sally Parampotil, giving athletes a voice on athletes utilizing school resources to stay fit without school practice, published on March 20th, to our entertainment editor, Shravi Mahesh, giving business owners a voice on COVID-19 pandemic shuts down local entertainment culture, brings struggles for eatery owners, published the same day. This podcast is going up on March 27th, 2020. CISD just wrapped up its first week of distance learning, while the U.S. is facing a crisis at many levels. I hope that the recap I just gave can serve as an example that even through a viral outbreak, the psychic doesn't falter. Stories will still be published. The news will still be delivered. I want to shift gears for a bit and tell y'all how Victoria Hertel, a staff writer, has been in the past 2 weeks. I'm in my backyard right now. I am the type of person who literally cannot stay at home all day, so I've just been outside for a lot of this week, reading, eating, or doing schoolwork. My dad is still working every day, but my mom and my brother are at home, and we are doing online school. Online school is quicker than regular school, but math is still stressful. She also said, sometimes it's easy to feel lonely if you don't make an effort to text or FaceTime your friends. Oh, also, I do ballet, and my classes are on Zoom now, so that's another way it affects me. The classes are basically the same, but I miss being there. That's a big thing. I miss a lot of the people so much. Even if we didn't talk, I miss sitting next to the people other than my family and being at school. When we get out of quarantine, I definitely will cherish the moments I have with everyone so much more. Meeting in real life is so different than online, and I can't wait to get back to that. Let's hope that's soon. I agree, Victoria. After coronavirus blows over, I will definitely cherish the moments that I have with extended family. I have a grandmother and a grandfather who are both in Mexico right now. They're in Juarez, and they're going through this as I'm going through this. We're not over there to help them. They're of age. And it just makes me kind of sad knowing that, there's a lot of people in the same position or even a worse position where their family members of age did get coronavirus and they are in a hospital. And I hate that feeling that, others are suffering a lot more because of this. And I don't know, I definitely will cherish the moments that I have with them a lot more after this. It just makes it kind of grounds you in a way, knowing that everything can kind of be stripped away just like that in a second. One day I was talking to my friend earlier that, okay, yeah, right before spring break we had that Friday. And it was just a normal Friday. I didn't think much of it. And now, like, looking back on it, I was like, could that have been my last Friday in high school? That just kind of trips you out, and you start thinking, wow. It just how things, yeah, as I said, how things can be just taken away, and that's just how life is. We can't really fight it that much. When prom was canceled, I didn't see anybody on social media lashing out, or even in different schools. No one lashed out. They're being very respectful. You know, just knowing that this is something very serious and it has to be taken very seriously. So I definitely think that because of this event, people are kind of learning a little bit more empathy. People are always going to be very empathetic, but I feel like this is going to kind of bump that up even more to a different level. But we'll see how that is. That would be great, though. Definitely. Now for some general safety precautions to keep yourself safe from coronavirus. Of course, according to the World Health Organization. First is washing your hands often and for 20 seconds each time. Second is coughing in your upper sleeves to prevent the spread of any internal fluids. Third is not to touch your face due to all the entryways that can be found in our faces. Fourth is to stay at home as much as you possibly can, and if you do go outside, for whatever reason, to practice social distancing. The latter means to stay 6 feet away from anybody while out and about. If we all practice social distancing when we do go out, the transmission rate of the virus could greatly decrease. And that basically means that if we do practice social distancing, that could flatten the curve. Flattening the curves means that, right now it's just a big spike upwards of cases being found. But once we do, start doing all these measures and we do start listening, we can make that curve, we can make that spike upwards turn into a curve and just kind of turn into a little half circle, and stuff will mellow out a bit. That would be amazing if we could do that by summer. But that takes a lot of work. To end this episode on a good note, if you're wondering what to do while at home, I have 3 good suggestions. First is to make a list of all the movies you have always wanted to watch, and then hunt them down on streaming services. I did that, and I ended up watching a good amount of great movies. Just on Hulu, they have a really good movie selection. I know most people go to Hulu for TV shows, but if you do go to their movie tab, they have really good movies and stuff that you don't find on Netflix. Netflix as well has amazing movies. They have their Netflix original films, and they also just have normal movies. But I think that Netflix's library of original films is kind of what stands out, while Hulu's more like sporadic movies that you probably wouldn't find anywhere else. That's what makes them stand out. And even Amazon Prime Video, what I've noticed that they have movies that are generally newer, like more recent movies that have come out in the past few years, while Netflix and Hulu tend to have older movies. But yeah, it's just something that I've noticed. And okay, we start talking about Disney Plus, and of course you start getting you get all the Disney movies. You get Star Wars movies, you get Marvel movies. So if you really like those series, then that's the way to go, because that's where you can find them, basically all of them. And recently Disney released Frozen 2 on its streaming service, and that's pretty big. That movie just came out. So I guess they're just giving people something to do, give the kids something to watch. So that's really great. Second is to finish any books in your bookshelf that you weren't able to finish due to time constraints. Now that we have a lot of downtime, picking up a book or two can make those hours feel like minutes. I read The Social History of Rock and Roll, and that was a really, really good book. I'd heavily recommend it. It taught me a lot, actually. Not only did it expand my music library, but it also taught me where, I guess, songs kind of stem from, where social periods during the 60s, we had the counterculture, and even during the 80s and 90s and glam rock, and then kind of like that 90s emo grunge that started to pop up. You started place music in these eras, and it just makes you feel like you know a lot. So if that's something that you want to do, or you want to feel like, I'd give that a shot. Give that book a shot. And yeah, I mean, I think that it's probably the best book I've read in the past probably about 3 or 4 years, because I did start reading Stephen King's It, and as even though I said the second is to finish any books on your bookshelf, I haven't finished that book because it's so long. I want to try to do it though during this kind of quarantine era. And another book that I've also read was what's it called, Crime and Punishment, and that's also good, but it, kind of sad, so I don't want to like make this feel even sadder. But those two books would be really good if y'all want to give those a shot as well. But definitely Social History of Rock and Roll if you want more of a lighthearted book, more like a historical book. It's more like a textbook in a way. But yeah. The third is to reorganize your music on Spotify or Apple Music. That can mean making new playlists or upgrading old ones. It's always good to keep your music fresh so you don't feel stuck listening to the same songs over and over again. I did that very recently, actually. I was on Spotify and I was like, I don't organize my music correctly because I put albums inside of my playlist. So like a playlist will have 2,000 songs, but yeah, like that's because there's more, probably like 200 albums in there or something. So what I ended up doing was deleting all my playlists, but writing down the albums and saving those albums. So now my playlists are more shuffle oriented, more mood, vibe, whatever oriented. So I can just go to it and listen to the songs that kind of fit that theme, instead of finding albums and albums and albums and then a song or two and then albums and albums and albums. So if you have your music that way, I would definitely recommend saving your albums instead, and then having your playlist kind of focused around the whole shuffle dynamic. But if you don't have that, then as I said, upgrading your old playlist would be really good during this time. We don't really find the time to do that much, so it'd be really cool to do that right now and to have this set up for the rest of the year. And yeah, you'll definitely feel like, I don't know, like you're finding new stuff, putting in new songs. It just makes you feel good about your music library. So thank you all for joining me in the 43rd episode of the Penny Podcast. Links to the material I mentioned today can be found below. I hope that we can all stay safe throughout these troubling times and find light and happiness in our homes. See y'all next week.